Okay, welcome back everyone. I'm going to go through an end of the day recap, just really looking at where we finished off the day. Hopefully this helps everyone set up for tomorrow. We'll look at some individual trade ideas and we'll get right into it. So before we do, leave me a thumbs up. I do appreciate and value that. We will get right into it. So triple Qs, I'm not trading the triple Qs. I don't have a position in the triple Qs. I'm not short. I would not want to be long, but I'm not short. And here's what I see going on. If we go a little bit higher in the triple Qs, really above this 303.50, 303.30, and make a slightly new high in the Nasdaq futures, or sorry, the triple Qs, then it's going to be a divergent high. See down here, you're going to have a new high on less momentum. So that's a potential setup for a down move, but it's not the trigger. It's not the reason to get short. Divergences are not a reason to just get short. So what you want to look for is some sort of a sell signal. So when we have negative divergence, which we will if we make a new high anytime soon, then we look for the sell signal, which will come in the form of a reversal candlestick, a big doji candlestick, an outside day candlestick, some sort of signal telling us that a reversal is taking place. And then also, if you want to look, you can wait for a break a trend. So we could probably mark out like a trend line down here, something about right there, and say that if we get the reversal and a break of this upward trend line, then that would be your sell signal. So again, watch for that. Until we have that, there's no reason to short this thing. However, I don't like to be long. I don't want to be long this either. If you go to the daily, I mean, with negative divergence, yes, you can go slightly higher, but it's typically the ending of the move. And I don't want to be long something when there's a negative divergence intact on the daily. If you look at the weekly here, negative divergence there on the weekly. See it right there. And again, a new high will, will basically set that in stone, that will have that negative divergence. And this is just a continuation of the negative divergence. You can see we've had negative divergence there, and then you've got a continuation of that right there. So I wouldn't want to be long. I don't want to be long when you have negative divergences like that. And then it's even on the monthly. You can see negative divergence here on the monthly. If I just get rid of these, you can see it's like right there where you made a new higher high on the monthly with less momentum. So again, you can see on the, we had negative divergence here on the monthly in triple Qs. This looks like the last time we had it. And so this month right here was a divergent high, and that was followed by this drop down here, which was a 22% drop. So again, that's kind of what I'm looking at. SPY, we'll start out on the monthly. On the SPY, you've got negative divergence, big clean negative divergence here on the monthly. And the PPO has, you have a bullish crossover right here, so you'd want to see the PPO start to confirm. So again, negative divergence is not a sell signal. It's just telling you that there's a high probability that there's going to be a trend reversal soon. So you got to wait for that trend reversal. And so you can see here on the weekly, negative divergence here on the weekly. We mark it out like this. There it is on the weekly. And it's there on the daily. You can see there, negative divergence there on the daily as well. So all this price action up here, there's a high probability that we get a reversal soon. So we just wait for that. And maybe it wants to run up to this 375 area all the way up here. And if it tags that, that's the trend line that I've had marked out for about a year and a half, 2 years. And this is coming off the 2009 lows. So you can see on this daily chart, you held support there, there, there. You held support right through there. Then you broke trend. Back test, fail, and getting close to the area where there's not a lot of upside left before you run into major resistance is what I'm trying to say. So I think the risk is really the reward. There's probably more reward to the downside, and that's why I continue to look for shorts. IWM, small caps, you can see here On the daily, we broke this trend, so it's cleaner on the hourly. You can see it. Here's an uptrend on the hourly on IWM, and we impulsively broke it. That's a pretty good sell signal right there. So a big impulsive breakdown and then persistent selling throughout the day, closing with accelerated selling. So I like that. Even if we gap up tomorrow, I still think that's going to get sold into. And I'm looking at a move down to about 175. I've got some trend lines along the way. This one I probably should adjust slightly, move it down to here. 165.75, and then another one down here at 159.55. Where does it go? Well, I'm not exactly sure, but if you look at the hourly here, negative divergence here on the PPO, negative divergence there. Oh, sorry, I misspoke. There's the negative divergence right there on the. It's actually not. It is a divergent high right there. Slight negative divergence. It's an equal high, so and forecasting a move down. Probably going to come down to this one, 165. It's about 166. There's no negative divergence though on the daily chart for IWM. So even if you get a little pullback, there could be some more upside in IWM. Okay, looking at gold. So I've become bullish on gold now, and you can see here we made a lower price right there. This is just outlining the price, and we had bullish divergence right there. It's been building on the hourly. So telling me gold is likely to see a move higher, and that's how I'm positioning. If you go to the daily, no bullish divergence there on the daily, just continued downward price action and downward momentum. So again, the hourly tells me in the short term, we're going to get a little bounce. The daily tells me that, there might be some more downside after we get that bounce. So that's what I'm assuming happens. And here's Barrick Gold. I told everyone that I took a position in that. And you can see on the hourly, bullish falling wedge right here. We broke to the upside today, broke out of that wedge. So I think, we probably get a move up to this $24 range, potentially higher. We'll kind of watch that. But that's probably the first profit target. And really from the breakout here up to that profit target, you're looking at about 5.5%, 6%. And this move that we're getting now was all forecasted right there. See the bullish divergence, how the RSI was moving up while price continued to move lower. That's your bullish divergence telling you that a trend change is probable. And now we're starting to see the break of that resistance moving up. So prices are moving up from there. XLV here is, we can just mark this out. It's, I've got this flag right here, but we can just raise it up. We're still within the range where the flag is still valid, something like that. So I think we're still just flagging out. I think XLV is going to flag out and then impulsively break down, filling these gaps. Probably going to fill this gap all the way down to here. Potentially, you got 3 gaps. You can see we got a gap down here, we got a gap here, and we got a gap there. So if we fill all the gaps, that's going to be a pretty good size move. But I think realistically, a move down to about 103.60, probably get a reaction at this 105.70 as well. And look, negative divergence was intact on XLV. You can see here on the hourly that we had momentum moving down while price was moving higher. So divergent high right here. And so I think we're starting, I think we still need to see a continuation of this downward move before we start looking for any kind of upside on this. Going to the daily chart on XLV, you'll see negative divergence on the daily is intact right there, and you've got higher prices right there. So this is divergent high action telling me that we're likely to see a larger move to the downside than just fill these gaps. I think we're likely to see a move down to at least 97. I think that's a high probability target, potentially lower, but I'll say 97 for now. Let's look at energy sector. For anybody that stayed too long in this sector, this is kind of what happened. So basically, I pointed out the oil stocks back here when we started to see bullish divergence. I started talking about it, putting out videos, kind of like what I'm doing with gold right now. And basically, it broke out of this bullish falling wedge pattern, and we had an impulsive break higher all the way up to, all the way up about a 38% gain upon that breakout. We ran into overshot resistance a little bit. Here it is at about 39.30, and now we're getting the pullback. So I think we head lower down to about at least 34.16, and then we'll see. That might be an objective area to establish another position or take a long. We'll watch this to see how this plays out. But again, that's the nearest term support. Here's a potential bullish setup for anybody that's looking for long ideas. McDonald's, you've got bullish divergence here on the daily. See the divergence right there? You've got bullish divergence there on the PPO, and you can see the crossover. You had the bullish crossover right there. So the momentum indicators are bullish on McDonald's. However, price is kind of just going sideways. So one potential scenario, just want to point it out there, if you get a swift move down in McDonald's, undercut these lows, potentially run right into this 202.81, and it does it anytime soon, it's likely to be a divergent low and a really good buying opportunity or long opportunity. That's support. You got some support right there. So I'll watch for that. If a move if you get the move down to that area, 203, anywhere right in that area, and the bullish divergence is still intact, then that would be that's the area you want to go long. Now from where we're at down to there, it's about a 6% drop. So that's a potential. Or, if it just starts to break higher, you break above this this 221 area impulsively, then, it could be off to the races, or at least have some sort of a bullish trend that's tradable. Okay, this BBY has now officially broken down, so it's a sell signal. I took it last week. And where am I looking at this thing to go? Well, you can see here we've got this uptrend line here, and then I created this secondary trend line here. I just wanted to do both of them. So you can see you did get a reaction right there on the secondary trend line, but now we have the impulsive daily breakdown. We had the impulsive daily breakdown on Friday, but again, that was a half day. Today is confirmation of a sell signal. So it is, now I think 103.77 or 104, somewhere right in there is next up. Probably get a reaction on that support line, and then you've got the gap fill right here. So a gap, move down to about 91 bucks. From where we're at now, that's a move of about 16%. So I think that is in play, and I'm trading it that way. Here's one GPS gap. You've got this uptrend line going back to June. We've been walking up the trend line. It broke impulsively because you were way up here and you gapped down 20%, and you've since sold off and created that longer term sell signal. The only thing I don't like about this one is you don't have yes, you do have negative divergence from right here, from all the way back here. It is there, but recently you don't have it, and you popped up within this little cluster right here. You made a new higher high in the RSI. So, and the PPO is not that clean either. So it's not my favorite, although the trend line was broken. I'll probably just pass and look for something else. Here's Exxon Mobile, just to reiterate the oil trade. So my target when I was talking about these oil trades for Exxon Mobile was 41. And I got that support / resistance from back here. Held as support there, a little cluster reaction right there. Then you broke. So that was a logical target. We overshot it just a little bit, but it was fleeting and has since impulsively sold off. If you go to the hourly, you can also see makings of a trend line. There's only 2 data points though. So again, this is not a trend line. You need more than 2 data points to call it a valid trend line. But I marked it out just to see if there was any reaction. We didn't even get a reaction along it, so I'll probably just go ahead and get rid of that. But you can see impulsively selling down. So again, probably coming down to about this 36.30 area before you get some sort of a reaction. BABA here, I can't say for sure, but I think there's a potential here that BABA is at the has reached its top in the bull market, in its bull market, and is now going to sell off. Here's the thing, what I see on this one. Because of the SPY and where it's at relative to major resistance, and because of the technical posture of BABA starting, everything's bearish. I see everything bearish on this chart right now. It might be at the top. One thing to look for, here's your uptrend line in BABA, and it was the negative divergence showed up right there. Right at this high right up here is where you had negative divergence. So then you look for a trend line break, and you got that trend line break right here. There's an impulsive breakdown. It was a gap down and a big sell-off, so very impulsive. So that's your sell signal. You had negative divergence. You got a break of trend. You got the sell signal. Came down and then had a back test, and now it's starting to roll over again. You can see with another gap down, that's impulsive, and it sold off all day. So pretty bearish in general. I think this is going lower. Snap, crackle, pop. I shorted this one today. Little trend line right here, and we broke that. You can see impulsive breakdown, had a little kickback rally, but rounded out the day. They sold it into the close. So that's pretty bearish. We'll see how tomorrow opens. Maybe they open it up here and recover it. Maybe they fail. I don't know. But on the daily chart, you can see here, negative divergence right there, telling me that this price action up here is likely to fail and reverse. Obvious targets, this gap fill here at 29.20, which from where we're at now, that would be a profit target of about 35%. That's the trade. Okay, TAN. So TAN has continuation of the negative divergence. I've been watching this one. I'm waiting for it. It's not there yet. We don't have an entry or a trigger, but we've got a clean setup. So clean uptrend line all the way from March lows, and this thing's just been going up, 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 up. And it started to put in negative divergence right here. This was a divergent high. This was a divergent high, and this is a divergent high. You can see what happened after each divergent high. This one, we sold off from the high, sold off 15%. This one here, from the high, sold off about 13%. This one, we'll see. One of these is likely to break the trend line, and we could sell off 12% and then break the trend line, and that sets us up for a much larger trend trade to the downside. So that's what I'm looking for. I think it's going to show up, and we just have to wait for the sell signal or a break of trend. Nio today broke trend. Here you go. You got the hourly. There's your hourly trend line right there. There's your impulsive sell-off, and they bought it up a little bit but sold it into the close. So pretty bearish. I'm looking at the after hours. It's down slightly in the after hours, so we'll see. Again, after hours doesn't matter too much, but the price action was pretty bearish all day. Now I think we had lower. So you've got negative divergence right there on the hourly. You can see that it was intact from here to there. If I go to the daily, right there, negative divergence on the daily telling you that a trend reversal is likely. We got the break. So it wasn't super impulsive, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. Look for confirmation or a continuation of selling. And if we get that, then likely to move down to this secondary support line, which is more, this is the more major support down here, around $30. So from where we're at down to there is maybe a move of 35, 36%. We could do that in a matter of a day or two with this thing. So I'm watching for that, but I think this looks like a good move to the downside. Another trade idea, Rumble on RM or RMBL. Just an idea. It's not a setup yet, but here's what we got on this one. Daily chart, big negative divergence. It's been building for a while. Each one of these highs has been a divergent high. So divergent high, we've created a bearish rising wedge in the process. So this is a bearish pattern likely to break to the downside. Doesn't have to, but it's likely. You've got a gap to fill. So there's an obvious target when you get a sell signal. And the divergences are telling me the sell signal is coming. The bearish pattern tells me that it's going to break to the downside. Now you just wait. We wait for the sell signal. So when you get a break of this trend, then, and I think it could be soon, and an impulsive breakdown, then that's your sell signal, and then a move down to fill the gap is the likely target. So depending on when we get it, could be a drop of about 60% or so. It just depends on when or if you get it. So we just wait. Okay, guys, and that's all I got for the end of the day wrap. If you guys find value in the content, leave me a thumbs up. If you want to learn how to read charts like I do, then take the training course in the description below. It's $99. And if you guys want me to look at a specific stock, start putting them in the comments below, and I'll gather those up for a subscriber picks video here in the near future. Thanks, guys. Catch you on the next one.